Hi, my name is Rebecca Cassidy. I'm Assistant Dean and Director of the Office of Professional Development at Georgetown University's McDonough School of Business. Today we're going to be talking about resumes. Now, the purpose of a resume is to give the person who's reading it a snapshot of your career thus far. It doesn't have to be a complete autobiography. It doesn't have to list everything you've done since kindergarten. What you want it to do is to list relevant experiences, relevant skills, and relevant accomplishments that you've had over the past few years that list and show why you're qualified for this particular position. So we're going to go through the overall structure of a resume today and go through each section to find out how to format each section to have maximum impact. The rule of thumb for a resume is to have 1 page of experiences for every 10 years of work. So if your resume at this point in your career is going on to a second or even a third page, it's time to take a look and cut out some information. Really what you're trying to show is what you have accomplished over the past years that are relevant to this particular position that you're applying for. At the top, with most resumes, you'll have your name, you'll have contact information, certainly email address, definitely phone number. You might want to put your LinkedIn profile on there if your LinkedIn profile is up to snuff at this point. And you may want to include your physical mailing address as well. Some people want to put an objective on their resume below the header. This day and age, those are not necessary. Your objective is to find a job at this particular company, so listing that is really redundant and it wastes space. And you want to use that space for relevant information that is demonstrating your skill set. Some people will put a professional summary at the top. I would work with a career advisor or a career coach to see if that's necessary for you. For most people who are undergraduates in college, it's not necessary at this point. But the next section that everybody will have at this point in your career is your education section. In that section, you're going to list the university that you are currently at, your expected graduation, the degree that you are seeking, and for McDonough School of Business students, you are all seeking the same degree, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration. It's not a Bachelor of Finance, it's not a Bachelor of Marketing, it's a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, and then you can list your major or your majors and your minor or minors and whatever else you have. But that is the degree that you are seeking. Now let's talk about GPA for a second. If your GPA is above a 3.0, by all means put it on there. If it's below a 3.0, you can leave it off. If your GPA is not listed on there, it is assumed that your GPA is going to be below a 3.0. So if it is above a 3.0, please do put it on there. At Georgetown, we recommend that you go out 2 places beyond the decimal point. So if you have a 3.25, then put a 3.25. If you have a 3.499, you'll have to leave it as a 3.49. There are certain cutoffs to which you cannot round up. You cannot round up to a 3.0, you cannot round up to a 3.5, and you cannot round up to a 4.0. Those are some pretty major cutoffs, and so rounding up makes it look like you're trying to get one by someone, and we don't want your resume to not match your transcript if your transcript is ever asked for. So go out 2 places beyond the decimal point and just leave it at that. Additional things you can put on your education section, you can put your high school on there. If you're a junior or a senior and you're really fighting for space, I would take it off unless you are applying to a finance position or to a position where there might be other high school alum at that company who speak for you during an interview or during the hiring process. You can also put your study abroad experience. By all means, put that on there. You list it as a separate educational experience. So you list the program you were in, maybe a quick summary of what you studied, and then the dates that you were there over to the right. And then finally, you can list relevant coursework. This is really great to show that you have the knowledge of a particular topic, especially when it relates to an industry that you are applying to where you may not have a lot of experience. So if you're applying to a position in marketing, you want to list the marketing courses that you've taken to show that you know what it is that's going on in the industry and you know what you're talking about, even though your experiences down below may not necessarily reflect that. So this section after the education section is going to be your relevant experience section. And I really want to emphasize relevant experience. We can do some playing when it comes to moving different experiences around, particularly if you are later in your academic career, because studies have shown that most people stop reading a resume just below the halfway mark. So the key is you want to get your most relevant experiences as close to the top as possible. So if you are applying to a finance position and you do have a finance internship already, by all means you put that first. Then you start listing experiences in reverse chronological order. So you might have an internship first, and then maybe you are in a finance club, you can list that next. And then maybe you are in a stock pitch competition, you can list that. And then in the next section, you can have something called additional experiences, where it might be your lifeguarding position, or it might be you are a waiter or a waitress at a restaurant. So getting that relevant information up to the top is really going to have maximum impact for the reader, so that they see what is relevant to them as they're reading first, and they don't have to weed through everything that may or may not be relevant to them. So we have the education section, we have the relevant experience section. If you need a section for additional experiences, you can put that in there, or you might have a leadership section. So this is where you put your clubs, anything you're doing outside of the classroom, volunteer work that you're doing, anything that's extracurricular can go in that leadership section. And then at the bottom, we have this sort of other section. Some people call it additional skills and interests. Some people call it honors and awards. It's sort of that other section where it's experiences or accomplishments or achievements that don't necessarily fit into one of the above categories. Those go in the bottom. Now, what's nice about this section is two things. So first of all, this is the second most read section on a resume. So when recruiters read resumes, they'll read the top thoroughly, they start to skim the middle, and then they usually jump to the bottom to that other section. So that section is going to get read. So what you want to put in there are things that show you as a well-rounded person, your interests. These are things that are going to be conversation starters. So if you are a certified skydiver, then by all means put that in there. If you speak 4 languages, and put your 4 languages in there. If you have an interest in House of Cards, you can certainly put it on there. What those things are going to do is they're going to spark conversations that make the interview a little bit more comfortable. And if an interview is more comfortable, the interviewer is going to remember the interviewee. So that's your section to show your personality. So the next thing I want to get into are your bullet points. Now, within each section, you want to list your experiences in reverse chronological order. So you have the name of the company that you worked for or the organization. You have over to the right the dates that you were there. Then underneath that you have your title. And then again over to the right you have the city that you are working in. Then you get into the bullet points for each of these sections. Now your bullet points, rather than just listing what you were responsible for, you want to add in what you accomplished while you were there. And Laszlo Bock, who used to work at Google, had a really good formula for this. So his formula is you list what you accomplished, how it's measured, and how you did it. Because what that is showing is your skill set and what your skill set has accomplished in the past. So let's say for your student organization, you were responsible for the organization's Facebook page. So the first bullet point you write might be responsible for student group's Facebook page. Okay, that's fine. To make that even better, you might say increase Facebook followership by 10%. Okay, now I know you had some sort of impact. I know that you did something to increase that followership. A better bullet point would be increase Facebook followership by 10% by implementing a Google AdWords campaign. So now I know, not only do you know how to increase followership by 10%, I know how you did it, and I know what skill you used, and that was using Google AdWords. And as an employer looking at that, I would say, I want you to come do that for me since you've already done that for someone else. So you want to be able to list that accomplishment, how it's measured, and how you did it. Now, at this point in your career, you might not be at that point where you have a lot of accomplishments. If you are lifeguarding, you're lifeguarding. If you're working at a front desk, you're answering the phone. In lieu of that formula, what you can list are the details. How often you did something. What were you responsible for? How many people did you work with? How much cash was in the cash drawer? Listing your capacity for work goes a long way to telling an employer that you are capable of coming to work every day and getting your job done. So the who, what, where, why, when. The more detail you can list, the more impactful it's going to be to the person reading this particular resume. So in summary, you have your header at the top with your education section, again, reverse chronological order in every section, followed by your relevant experiences, additional experiences if you have them, your leadership section, and then your other section. One page. If you have trouble getting in on one page, what I would say is start with listing everything you can think of first, and then go back and edit. And if you need help, contact a career coach to help you through the process. For more information on resumes, you can go to McDonoughCareers.com at the bottom, or subscribe to our channel for this information and for other presentations as well. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.